Welcome everyone to my first YouTube Live. I'm really excited to be here today. I'm really looking forward to this. What I want to do today is talk about some of the comments that have been coming through, and I've been getting comments every day. So thank you so much. And I think some of you have commented who've joined us today as well. And I really appreciate that. And a lot of comments were sharing their stories. People were giving their tips and ideas, telling me about things that work for them. Some people were sharing really painful stories, and I'm glad that they found a community in which they can share. Right. So the first comment I want to go through is actually not one of those. It's from Mr. or Ms. Williams, and they talked about alternative approaches and things for pain relief. So one of the things they particularly mentioned, and I'm looking over there because I keep checking my notes because I want to read out the quote exactly. So they said olive leaf extract helps a lot with pain, and they also use all-day allergy meds to help slow down the flares. So I hadn't heard about olive oil extract or olive leaf extract. So I've been doing a bit of research on it, and it does seem that it's something that a lot of people use to help with chronic pain. It has been tested out on chronic pain and chronic illness sufferers, but it's only been a small study, so we don't know exactly. The jury's still out with the research on this. But again, it is really interesting, and it might be something I experiment with in the future. One of the things I wanted to say was that it's great to try out supplements and pills and therapies, different types of therapies that lots of people have mentioned in the comments. And it's great that we can share them, and maybe we can each sort of try something out and see what works for us. That's great. And also, I did want to say that, first of all, what we need to do is get our basics right. And then for me, I like to layer in the supplements and the therapies and the treatments afterwards, unless I know there's a need for a particular supplement which might help with my overall condition. So, for example, I had my blood tests for vitamin D, and now I take a vitamin D3 supplement all the time. Live in the UK, and especially now we're moving into the winter, light is not going to be around a lot. We're going to have lots more gloomy days. So I do try to get out in the sun, but I take the supplement so that it keeps me okay for my immune system and for my general health. I think it's great to try different things. We need to, first of all, make sure that the basics are covered. And with the basics, what I mean is that we're getting enough deep sleep, that our nutrition is correct or as near as possible as being good for us, that we have incorporated movement into our lives, and that we keep our stress low as well. And this isn't just for us, people struggling with chronic pain, it's also for everybody out there. And sometimes I think, in the way, this is one of the gifts that Fibro gives us, because we actually have to do this. For most people, it's sort of optional. They know they should be doing it, but as you're younger and fit, you can get away with it, and you think, okay, I'm all right. Maybe if I could get a little bit less sleep one day, it's fine. But for us with fibromyalgia or any other chronic illness, we really need to focus on these more than anything else. So yes, let's try the supplements, let's try the alternative therapies, but also where I like to start is making sure that those basics are taken care of. And for me, taking care of those basics is actually what I'm all about, and what my coaching is all about as well, because it can be really difficult for people to make sure they eat correctly most of the time, or all the time, and to make sure they get enough sleep, especially for us with fibro, and to make sure that we incorporate exercise, especially when exercise can make us flare up as well, and that we keep our stress levels down. So what I'd like to talk about in my videos is how we make a start on these things, and how we incorporate it so that it sticks and that it's part of our life. And the next comment that I want to discuss came from Helen. And she said, yesterday I went to the gym to keep active and keep my body strong. Today I plan to do things, but today I had planned to do things, and instead I'm lying down and feel like I've been run over by a bus. Just cannot win. I think we all know that feeling, don't we? I mean, for me, I like to call it thrown against the wall feeling. I mean, if you've got a little phrase that you like to use for that feeling, you know, that all over aching, that you feel like you've been in an accident. And I think Helen's right with saying run over by a bus as well, definitely. So this is one of the symptoms of fibromyalgia that is actually unique or known to be part of fibro more than it is part of other conditions, other chronic illness conditions. Post-exertional malaise is what they call it, PEM. And overexertion at the gym, overexertion in any way, whether that's through housework, etc., is usually going to result in us feeling that way, feeling like we've been thrown at a wall. So sometimes I find that gyms might not be the best for us. If you've tried the gym, let me know in the chat. How did it go for you? So instead of big workouts, the trick for us is to have consistency with smaller, fibro-friendly movement throughout our day. Stretching is really good, and doing stretching every day if you can. So that means just like small movements, even just doing your hands, doing your fingers, and it's about keeping every part of your body flexible, because you know, if we don't move enough, then we're going to get stiffness in our joints, in our shoulders, in our hips. And so I think a good stretch routine is really good for us. And I will put one onto the channel at some point in the future. I've got so many videos coming out soon, and so many ideas to get through. I'm a one-person team, so it's going to take some time to get to them all, but I will as quickly as I can. So stretching is good. Short walks are good as well. I wouldn't try going for, a kilometre or a couple of kilometres or anything, but short walks, 5 to 10 minutes to start off with. I'd say if you're going to try every day, literally start off with 5 minutes every day, do that for a week, and then try and build it up 2 minutes at a time. Because flaring, because we've overdone it, is the worst kind of flare, and it sets us right back as well. So if we can keep doing a little bit of exercise and build up very, very gradually, that's what I did. And it worked for me. And I felt so much better thinking, gosh, I can actually do some movement in a day. I can walk. I have a little treadmill at home. It's just like a really inexpensive one that's lightweight as well. So it's easily moved around. And that's quite good for just that 10-minute walk in the morning. And what I normally do is I have a gap in between as well. So for women particularly, if you're going to exercise, do any weights or any cardio exercise, it's best for us to eat a little something before we exercise. So I normally do my stretches in the morning first, and then I will take a break, have a little snack, and it's usually berries with yogurt, relax if I need to, and then I will go and do my walk. I'm lucky, I don't work, I work for myself, so my time is my own. And I save my entire morning for my routine. I do nothing before 12 noon because I have an easier day of it, a more relaxed day if I can do that. Even if you can't do that, if you have to go to work, if you can try and break up your exercise into small sections throughout the day, that tends to work better for us. So instead of big workouts, consistency, stretching, short walks, and light body weight work rather than actually lifting weights. We can use our body for the weight. So if you can't do push-ups, which I can't do push-ups, but I can do a push-up against a wall, so I'm pushing my own body weight. Things like planks give us a bit of resistance training, and weight bearing exercises, and calf raises. So things that you can do at home. And the great thing about this whole fibro-friendly exercise routine is you don't have to pay for a gym. You can all do it all at home, and you can do it without any specialist equipment. If you want to, you can get some light weights, but I'd say always stick to lighter weights. Never push beyond what you can manage in that moment. I did used to think that, okay, so once I can do this many kilos, then I'll go up to another, and that will build my uh, strength more. But what I learned was when I tried going to the gym and tried doing that, I was okay for about the first 3 weeks. Then after that, I got to the gym, did my cardio, a little bit of walking, and then when I tried to do anything else, I couldn't. And I spent the rest of the session downstairs in the cafe waiting for my husband. Another time, I went to the gym, and as soon as I got there, just the drive there was enough, and I couldn't do anything. So I came straight back home. I didn't drive, my husband drove me, but still, I had to come straight back home. And I think with the gym, because there can be a focus on improvement and doing more and more and more, that might not work for us with fibro. Let me know if you found any different. That's my experience, and it seems like Helen too has had a similar experience. But I'd say on that point of exercise, consistency every day, little bits spread throughout the day, is better than a full hour at the gym. The next quote, and the last quote I want to talk about, the last comment, sorry, is Maria's. And she said, I can't tolerate even minimal stress. I get panicked if I need to wait for lab results. The treatment of medical practitioners and disbelief in this sickness is destroying the mental health of many of us, if not all. Is that true for you? Has any of you struggled with disbelief, or have you had supportive doctors? I really hope, especially with those of you who've been recently diagnosed, that doctors are getting more supportive. And this is where I also bear in mind that there is a difference between the US, Canada, and the UK. Because of our health system, it's different here. I mean, I do feel like our lives are tough enough without the disbelief. Yeah, and that is another issue. Thanks for that comment, Renee. It's not about doctors, but my supervisors at work, where the disbelief really comes through. Yeah, I was diagnosed with long COVID about 4 years ago, and I was in a Facebook group with lots of people with long COVID, and they were battling this all the time. There was so much disbelief around long COVID. Part of me did think, well, the fibromyalgia community has had this for decades, really. But it was interesting to see, because I haven't been part of a fibromyalgia group before, to see all those same feelings and comments coming through on a group with a chronic illness that we had experienced, that I'd experienced as well. It's very difficult, isn't it? And it's heartbreaking when I read it. I always wish that, hopefully doctors are better now and employers are more understanding now. But there is a lot of disbelief around it. And it leads us to feel quite isolated. It can lead us to doubt ourselves as well, can't it? And that's exactly why I started this channel. Firstly, to put information out there and increase awareness as well. And I know I've had partners of people who've got fibro or other chronic illnesses commenting on the channel. So I'm glad that, we've been able to build this community. And I also wanted to show that there is a way forward, and there is a way to support ourselves with our physical and mental health, and that mental health matters just as much as our physical health. It's really important. I think the thing that I found with fibro is I think as women, and we're not all women here, but mainly women, we are used to living with pain to an extent. So, but the mental health toll and the isolation that comes with it is quite difficult. For me, mental health is also very, very close to my heart, because that is what my training was in. After my career in banking, etc., in the private sector and the corporate world. But once I got fibromyalgia, I went into the community world a lot more, in social care. And my first part of training in this field was around mental health research as well, and mental health recovery. So I went through a program which was about mental health recovery, but it also taught me about how to manage my fibromyalgia. And that's part of the reason, again, why I started the channel was because I wanted to be able to share that information with people as well. So I've been doing that for about 15 years now. And I find looking after our mental health can make a massive difference to our physical health and how we live our life in order to reduce symptoms and keep them to a minimum and reduce the length of flares. I mean, I do try and share as much as I can on the channel for free, but obviously some things I will need to charge for to help cover the costs of the channel and to create the resources that I am creating and the courses, etc., and just to pay the bills as well. As I said, I'm a one-woman team in this channel. So if you would ever like any more personal guidance around your mental health or any part of your chronic illness journey, then I have got one-to-one coaching available on the website, and it's currently on discount until the 1st of November, so do check that out. But I know for me, even since I started the channel, this community really helps. It gives me an outlet. And from the number of comments that people are sharing, I hope that people are finding relief here as well. Oh, thank you, Renee. I hope it is Renee. I'll call you Renee today. That's brilliant. Your therapist recommended that I find a community for my mental health and disbelief struggles. So I'm glad I found this channel. Thank you. Appreciate that. And also, I would say, yeah, it's absolutely vital to have a community. I didn't realize this before I was unwell. I was one of those people who worked in the corporate world, thought that I could handle my life myself, and any struggles that came along, I saw how my mother handled things, how other people around me handled life. And I just thought, well, if you have a struggle, you get through it yourself, you know, and that was it. The first time I really appreciated and found the support of a group was after I had my son, and I went to a nursing support group. And I was, for lots of reasons, I had postnatal depression, and I went to this group. I felt really isolated. I felt really alone, even with all my family around me, because I was quite depressed. And they said, I walked in and they said, welcome, can I get you a cup of tea? You pass the baby, I'll pass the baby to the nursery nurse and she can look after him. And let's just talk. And I just burst into tears because I needed that support so much, just to find somebody who understood what I was going through. They were going through the same things themselves, the struggles of being a new mom, etc. And that was when I first learned the power of being within a group of like-minded people. And the second time was when I went on my Wellbeing program, and that absolutely changed my world forever. I felt like I'd find my tribe finally. And I hope that you find that this space is like that for you as well. It really helps with your own mental health to get the support of other people who really understand and they get it. But also all the tips that people are sharing on the channel at the moment are amazing. We can try them out ourselves as well. One of the things I would say about trying out different approaches is try them one at a time. I recently went through the experience of having some antibiotics, messed up my gut a bit, so I got myself some probiotics. But at the same time, I went back to my normal diet and I decided to build in another supplement. And I had a terrible time and I didn't know what was messing things up. So I went right back to the beginning and just stuck to the probiotics. So when we even take supplements or vitamins or anything like that, they can interact with other medications we're on, and too much of a good thing is a thing. Sometimes if you have too much of a vitamin, it's not great for you. I think this is something I'm going to talk about in my next video as well, so because it sounds very familiar to me. So I think just bear that in mind. The best way to go around taking supplements and alternative therapies is for vitamins, etc. Get your levels checked first of all with blood tests. Make sure you actually need it in the first place. And then with alternative therapies and supplements and health remedies, health shop remedies, just do research them to see if there's any interaction that they could have with your normal meds. For example, the olive leaf extract that was mentioned earlier. can interfere with heart medications, because it kind of does the same thing. It can really help with heart your heart health, and it can interact with other medicines that might do the same. So just be careful to research those things. Okay. So the last comment I wanted to talk about before we go over to you and answer your questions is from Estrella. And Estrella asked, when you say healing, that you healed, what exactly do you mean? Are you completely fibro-less, or did you find pain relief? So I mentioned in some of my videos that I get into a healing state of mind, or I'm in that frame of physical health and medical and mental health of healing. So that was a really good question, actually. And what I replied was when I talk about healing, I don't mean completely being free of fibro. It's about building a calmer, more stable life, less ruled by symptoms. My pain and fatigue still visit, but I recover faster and they no longer define my days. And that's the kind of healing I want everyone to believe is possible. So that's what I mean by healing. I mean, there have been years gone by where I've thought, have I actually still got fibro? And then you overdo something a little bit and it just peeks its head again, and you think, okay, yes, I have. I still wake up with that stiffness in the mornings, but it doesn't take me long at all. By the time I've risen out of bed and just had a little stretch, I feel better from that. So it's just about calming all of those symptoms down and learning how fibromyalgia works and how it's triggered, so that you can just learn to calm down your system and then start building from that place of calm, and layer back in all the things that you want to do in your day, whether that's a little bit of housework or being able to go for a walk. So for me, that's what healing means. I could talk for hours about recovery and healing, but I won't do that. I'll go over to you guys now and look at your questions. So if you've got any questions that you want to ask, just put them into the chat for me, or any comments you want to make. Let's have this as a bit of a discussion. Any advice on rebuilding your basic habits? I'd like to know what you mean by your basic habits. First of all, Renee, if you could just pop that in the chat. What is it you're trying to rebuild to? So while you respond to that, Renee, I'll just say a little bit about recovery. I did say I could talk about this forever, so I've got my trusty whiteboard here. So let's just look at life, what the lifeline is like from my birth onwards. So you're born here and you're about 5 years old, and you start becoming aware of what is going on in your life and aware of yourself. And you have things that you love to do. You love to play, you love to colour, you love to mess around with water, whatever it is for you. And then you have your childhood. And this part of your life, there's a lot of influence from your caregivers, your parents, and school people around you. And then you become a teenager, and then our hormones hit. And that's our first big change and our influence on our life that really says to us that, okay, this is who I am. So we begin to learn about who we are. And then we might get married or have a relationship. We start work. We get trained. We've gone to university. We've done all these things. And then you might get married. And that's a big event in your life, because the person you are once you get married is very different from the person you were along here. And then you have children, which is a massive change. I don't know if any of you have got children. Obviously, this is for the older people in the room. If you're younger, you won't sort of maybe not understand this yet. And The different highs are about the amount of impact it has on your life. And each of these are stages at which we change. Having children absolutely changes your mindset, your views, your worldview altogether, because you see everything differently. And then we get to an illness. And that can be fibromyalgia. That's not very clear. That could be fibromyalgia. It could be rheumatoid arthritis. It could be chronic fatigue, diabetes, heart disease. Could be any of those things. So what we expect on the other side of this illness here is to go back to being this person. Now, we're not the same person after having kids. We're not the same person after getting into a relationship or finding the job we love or finding something you're really passionate about or having a relationship. We're not the same person. So I think sometimes we expect, and I did for a long time, I expected before the illness who I was. That's what I want to go back to. I want to be this person again. But I'm not. I'm now this person. And I'm a completely different person to who I used to be all the way along the line. However, what I can say is the person I am now is a lot more in line with who I really am, and it's a lot better for my health. So when we talk about recovering our life or getting back to our life, then I just say, well, think about what you want that to look like now with where you are at now. Okay. So for your question, thanks for your response, Renee. So you want to start with the basics: sleep, nutrition, movement, and stress. Yes, you've made habits in all those areas, but they are made around your pre-fibro abilities. Absolutely. I totally agree with you there. So it's a really good point, actually. I don't think I'd ever thought of it that way as well, because however we used to deal with stress before, we can't deal with stress that now. How we used to handle a challenge, we can't handle it in the same way now. So, for example, we've had a couple of bereavements recently, and I used to be able to go and be with the family for a long, long time. But now I can't do that. I have to measure my time, be there at poignant moments rather than being there all the time. I also have to be careful of my own mental health and my own stress levels, because I don't want to flare on top of that, on top of the grief that's already there. Yeah, you've said I don't have the capacity I used to. I'm struggling to adjust, having different standards of basics. It is a struggle, but that is the main area to focus on right now. We do now need to get back to the absolute basics. And it feels really hard to go backwards. It feels like we're going backwards, but what we're not doing, we're not going backwards. What we're doing is going back and checking our foundations and making sure they are strong. So literally just take one thing and practice that for the next 2 weeks. So if you want to focus on your sleep, I did a video last week or the week before on just on sleep. Just have a watch of that and then incorporate one change. So it might be, if you've decided you want to focus on sleep for the next week, just go to bed at the same time and wake up at the same time every day. And I mean, go into your bed whether you sleep or not, and then get out of bed in the morning at the same time. So if you need to set an alarm, do that. Whatever that is, if that's 12 hours a night, if that's 6 hours a night, whatever it is for you, choose something that you know in your heart that will work best for my body. So I know for me, 7 hours of sleep is optimal. I love when I get 7 hours of sleep. If I get 6, I can manage. Anything less than that, I'm good to no one. So you find what your level is, and it needs to be somewhere between 7 and 9 hours as per the research. But and then just stick to that one change. Don't overload yourself with trying to change too many things. Let me get some sleep spray, or let me get a new pillow, and let me try having a hot drink before bed. Do one thing at a time, because again, change can be very difficult for us with fibro as well. And what we're trying to do is change our habits and build new strong habits. But you've got to give each habit time to breathe and time for it really to set in, and see how you are, because it is a change for you. If you start doing that with your sleep, it's a big change for you. So you might have some sleepless nights, but after a while, it will start to take effect. And once you feel that, okay, that's taking effect, and it might be 3 or 4 weeks, then start thinking, okay, what can I do to uh, help with this? So if you find that you're going to bed at the same time every night, but you're struggling to sleep, maybe that's when you start bringing in a bit of writing before you go to bed, so that everything from the day is offloaded before you go to sleep. Obviously, there's all the usual information about phones and light, etc. But try that. I have got things that I can work with you deeper on as well, and I may do videos on that. But if you want to know beforehand, just again check out the coaching, and I will do more videos. I know I've just done one on sleep, but I will keep repeating those videos and going a bit deeper each time. Okay. You gave an example. I used to walk a lot, like 30, 40 minutes multiple times a day, and now I can't do more than 10 minutes without it wiping me out. Yeah, so that when we try to exercise, never mind the level we did before, but if we try to just exercise and then we feel that post-exertional malaise afterwards, it can feel like a real defeat. I'm trying my best. I want to be fit. I can do this. I've done more than this before. And then you do it for 10 minutes and then you're wiped out. So it almost feels like you're like 1 step forward and 2 steps back. So I totally get that, because I've been in that position. I was once told I had high blood pressure, and rather than take medicine, I just started doing 40-minute walks every couple of days, and it just went completely. But now to be in a situation where you can barely do half of that is quite difficult. But this is where the new habits come in. So as I said before, we build up by doing small amounts. So if 10 minutes wipes you out, what I would say is do 5 minutes so you don't get wiped out. Do 5 minutes in the morning. And if that goes okay and the rest of your day is all right, maybe do 5 minutes before you have your supper or after you have your dinner at night. See how that works for you. Is that something you think you could try? Let me know, Renee. And also try different types of exercise. So the walking is a brilliant exercise because it's a full body exercise. But I think if you've been recently diagnosed with fibro, or you were quite weak still, if you've rested for quite a long time, then you might need to build up and just get your body shifting again. What you don't want to do is start walking when you've been immobile or even bedridden for quite a while, because that's the way you're going to get injuries, and we don't need more pain on top of everything. So try the gentle stretching, and even if it means just stretching one part of your body, just doing ankle turns, ankle twists both ways, just trying to stretch out your calves, stretch out your glutes, etc. Stretch out your arms, even just doing that. That's the first part of my stretching routine every day. Just twisting, etc. I will load up, because I can see it is now, a few people have commented about this exercise thing. What I might do is load the video that we used to have on the gentle stretches, which was done by my husband, but I'll just put an introduction on it so I can get it out quicker rather than having to redo it all. Oh, thank you. I think it definitely sounds doable. What can I do when my brain starts to berate me or call me a failure? Oh, gosh. I could do a whole workshop on that one. You say stop. Right now, a quick tip I can give you is when you hear that voice saying, you're such a failure, you could do more than this before, you're so unfair. Stop. That's not helping me. I'm doing my best. I'm working towards wellness. I'm going forward. Yeah. You have to, with negative thinking, it's either about the past or it's a negative tirade at yourself. You're saying, I'm not a great person because XYZ. So you need to replace it with either some of the strongest things you can replace it with are gratitude. So you say, I'm grateful I can do this much. I'm grateful I can do this much. Or you say, stop, I'm working really hard to recover. I'm working hard to recover. Just keep it at that. Yeah, you can switch off that voice. It's not easy. It takes training. It takes work, but you can switch it off. I do have another video on this particular subject about negative thinking, so I will just pop that into the stream now. Negative thoughts. You can open these up on another window and watch them afterwards. So that's how to deal with negative thoughts. And there's some techniques in there that you can use, and I hope you find them helpful. Thank you, Renee. It'll be hard for me, but having some kind of direction is always encouraging. That's what I'm here for, to give you direction. I mean, this is why I started the channel. I found something that helped me in such a way that I've never had to look back again. And that is just a method to build the skills to implement the change into our lives that we need to make. You do all the work. And when I went through the program, I had to do all the work myself. It was something that came from inside of me. It wasn't something that somebody told me, do this, do that. The facilitator, the trainer, just gives you the guidelines and you fill in the blanks. But because it's your own work, it actually fills in and comes up with all the right strategies and tools that you need in your life. It helps you change your mindset, etc. And that's what I'm trying to put across in my videos. If you've probably seen, a lot of them are practical, talking about sleep and about pacing, etc. But they always have a mindset element. And I think mental health and your mindset is absolutely vital for any type of recovery or moving forward from illness and building a new life that works for you. What I'll do now is just pop in some links to my free guides and subscription if you hadn't subscribed already. And also, if you haven't seen it, particularly for you, Renee, is the Fibro series. I've just done my ultimate guide to fibromyalgia. So I think we'll call it there for today. I really appreciate you being here with me today. Okay, so then I'll say bye for now. Look after yourselves, take care, and be well.